This is a recap for Monday, October 12th. Today in class we introduced the idea of integers. So the first thing I want you to notice is that the positive integers are to the right and the negative numbers are to the left. So again, positive numbers to the right of 0 and negative numbers in red here to the left. So if we want to find the opposite of a number, then we have to look at the opposite side of 0. So in class, we actually put in text right here, we added to this. Let me grab a text box right here. Let me see if we can unmark this. Don't really want that marked right there. There we go. Okay, so instead of just opposite, we wrote that it's really the opposite side of 0. So that makes it a little easier when we're trying to find, for example, the opposite of 2, when we ask the question, what is the opposite side of 0 from 2? So here's 2, and here's 0. So the opposite side of 0 would be negative 2. And to find the opposite side of 0 from 6, we go to 6. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps from 0. So if we do 6 more steps, the opposite side, we end up at negative 6. Then we discussed what absolute value means. So we highlighted absolute value and then talked about the distance from 0. And it doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. We discussed that if you're leaving your house, it doesn't matter what direction you're going, you're getting 5 steps or 5 hours or 5 miles away from your house. So distance is always positive. So now if we think of this question as what is the distance negative 4 is from 0, then we can think of it this way. Negative 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 steps from 0. And 3 is 1, 2, 3 steps. That's 4 steps. This is 3 steps. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. Death Valley, California is 282 feet below sea level, so what integer could be used to represent the situation? Negative 282. Stock market gained 5 points, so that's going to be a plus 5. We don't really need to put the plus, but we can. And Patrice withdrew $15, so that's going to be a negative 15. And then the last one we did in class on the CAMI week 4 was to talk about which is greater, the negative 3 or negative 5, and everyone agreed that because negative 3 is to the right of negative 5, that it's greater. That numbers increase this direction. So numbers are getting bigger this direction. And as we go this direction, numbers are getting smaller. So that's as far as we got on that activity today. We also went to a presentation called integers. We did some of the cards. So I'll show you the cards that we did and what we did with those cards. We did cards 1, 2, and 3, 6, 7, and 8, and we marked them up. So let's go to actually card 1. So you can click on the Google login. The Pear Deck will take you to this presentation that we're going to be working on all week. So this is slide 1. Whoops. For this, I'm going to have to pull out my other tools. Okay. So this is slide 1. And we can think of the number line horizontally like this, or vertically like this. And all I asked students to do is to choose one that they thought helped them understand better. So you can just circle it. If this is the one that you kind of like better, then circle that. If this is the one that you like better, circle that. We're going to use them both, but I just want to know which one is most useful to you. And then next was a very important idea, and that is a picture to show how addition of integers works. And this diagram is on Math 7 resources. It can be printed out. You can draw it in your notes right now if you'd like, but you can also print it out. So let's look at this first one. If we had, let's say, two positives, and we're adding to 5 positives, we could actually just draw that over here. There's my 2 positives. There's 5 more positives. And I'm going to color them in with positive color, which we'll just choose yellow. So here they are right there. There's the 2 that I started with. And here are the 5 that I've added. So if I just circle that, that's like putting them all together, like adding them. So that's equal to 7. It's as if we're taking these two, taking this and smashing it in there and creating this bigger one. Because that's what happens when we do a positive plus more positive. Now let's say that we had 6 positives right here, but we were going to combine it with even just 1 negative. So this is smaller because it has a smaller absolute value. It's closer to 0. This one's farther away. And I'm going to draw this picture. So here's my 6 positives. And here's my 1 negative. So there are 6 positives. And here is 1 negative. And if we look at just this part right here, we can call this what's called a 0 pair, because -1 combined with 1 is equal to 0. So those are just 0, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left over. So this is equal to 5. So when we add, starting at 6, we end up at less than 6. It goes down because this is negative. So when we have different signs, positive and a negative, then it's as if this combines and cuts out some of this. It eliminates some of it, and what we have left over is 5. The same thing happens right here. Let's say that we had 3 positives and 7 negatives. So this would, when we combine this, I'm going to draw this in. If we were to combine that, whoops, I want it to be yellow. Oops, still not yellow. There we go. That yellow ends up neutralizing, cutting out that part. And so all we have left is, so it's like it's gone. So we just have this remaining part, which is 4 negatives. So 4 or 3 plus a negative 7. We find the difference between these two. 7 minus 3 is 4. And because there's more negative, it's negative 4. So you can go in and just check if this makes sense. You'll do this. If this one made sense, check. That one made sense, check. If that one made sense, check. If any of them didn't make sense, you can put question marks. Let's go to the next one. And the same thing occurs for negatives. If we have negative 3 and even more negative 6, and we combine them together, it's negative 9. If we have negative 10 and combine it with 16, then we have to find the difference between these two, which is 6, and that's how many positives we have left. And I'll do one more and I'll draw a picture of it. If we had negative 7 combined with this 2, so I've got 7 negatives. So these all represent just one negative. So it's like saying 7 is 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 7 times. And here's our 2 positives. Then here is a 0 pair. Here is a 0 pair, so I have 2 0 pair. So what I have left over is 5 negative. So the answer is negative 5. So go ahead and mark that up and then skip up to slides 6, 7, and 8. And that's what we'll finish off today with slides 6, 7, and 8. So this comes straight from IXL C11, which is due this week. So if you start with 2 negatives and then you combine with another negative, you're going to get 3 negatives. So negative 2 combined with negative 1 is negative 3. Slide 7. We did this one because sometimes when we learn something new, it mixes with what we thought we knew, and then that we get mixed up. But it's true that 3 plus 1 still equals 4. And that looks just like this picture right here. When you're doing this IXL, you have to click on the picture as well as put in the answer on some of them. And then finally, we had one with some 0 pair. So negative 3 combined with 4. So we could think of this as negative 1 plus a negative 1 plus a negative 1. There's our negative 3 combined with 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And that's 0, that's 0, that's 0. 0, 0, 0, and the answer's 1. Because we have 1 positive left over. Be working on the assignments for this week, and that is a recap for Monday, October 12th.